We'll never beat our personal time.
No. Now is the first time we ever did it.
I know. Oh crap! Oh! 1 second!
Yes! Oh my god!
That was awesome!
You beat it by 1 second.
Oh, awesome!
Wow.
Oh man, Burnout Paradise. Back in the day, it was the most fun you could ever have. It was the perfect game to play online with friends. Trying to land some of those sick jumps, completing some of those surprisingly difficult co-op challenges, and racing each other throughout the city. The interesting thing is, by all accounts, I should have hated this game. Of course, growing up, I was a Burnout takedown purist. Many hours were spent on this game. It was so bloody addicting. So taking the level-based formula of crashing into cars and making it open world should have been a death sentence. But it was both a fitting evolution and a good spin-off title in its own right. But I'm getting ahead of myself. That was back then. Does the game still hold up now? There's a certain feeling of flow and speed that's always made this game feel super rewarding to me, and that's because Criterion really pushed the context of open world to its absolute fullest potential. There's an absolute ton of open world racing games that are fine to play, but nothing too special. They essentially use it as a more time-consuming version of a level select. There isn't really any reason to go exploring around this big open world. But in Burnout Paradise, there's always, and I do mean always, something going on, and I'll go into why all of these are so well implemented a little bit later on. To start off with, the collectibles. Paradise City is loaded with collectibles. In the space of 10 seconds, you can crash through a gate, smash through a billboard, another gate, top it off with a death-defying super jump, seeing unlockable cars zoom past you which you have to take down in order to get. These things are all throughout the map. Some billboards will have you stop and wonder how the hell you get that, some of them you'll just find yourself smashing into out of nowhere. There are hundreds of gates to smash through, over 100 billboards, 50 super jumps. Not only are they super satisfying to get, but the genius part is that they... well, like I said, I'll get into that at the end. Even while driving around aimlessly, you're still taking part in time trials. The game will start timing you on how quick you get through certain areas, and let you know when you beat a friend's time, or when they beat yours. Like Bad Dude Josh keeps seeming to do. Whether or not you're aware of it, it's a nice little added bonus to make the game feel more competitive as you're driving to the next destination. And on top of that, there's an immeasurable amount of events littered throughout the map, such as races, marked man events, which involves you trying to get from point A to B while a herd of enemy cars try to throw you off the road, road rage, where everyone's trying to throw everyone off the road, stunt runs, where you have to rack up the most points in a certain time, and other events too, some of them exclusive to the car you're driving. In short, there's a ton of things to do, and it's crazy how well all of these blend into the game. Smashing into collectibles that make sense within the context of the game world. I mean, relatively anyway, considering they have the logo of the game on them. Enemy cars driving around at will just like you, and events that don't limit you whatsoever. In these races, you would expect there to be a linear path, certain roads being blocked off so everyone is driving in the same direction, right? Actually, no. As long as you get from point A to B, you can get there however you like. Oftentimes I take a completely different route from everybody else, which sometimes works out and sometimes doesn't. Not only is this another level of freedom that Burnout Paradise offers, but it makes the city itself feel way more real. And here's the kicker. Here's why it all flows together so well. None of these things, none of them at all, interrupt the speed of the game. In games about speed, it's important to design environments in a way that help the player to keep their momentum, and Burnout Paradise is great at this. Collectibles are noticeable from a long way away, meaning you always have enough time to take a detour if you spot a jump coming up. Time trials, as I said, happen in the background as you're driving around. You do have to stop the car to activate an event, but once you do, you still have the entire map to roam around while you complete an objective. The game never loses its sense of speed, meaning not only does the game get a ton of use out of its world, but it makes it all feel incredibly satisfying. Crashing into cars is incredibly fun. Dodging enemy cars as you reach your destination is so bloody fun. Handling cars as you drift around corners is super satisfying, and there's plenty to choose from right out the gate. Burnout Paradise is an incredibly well-made game, and I think it's often underappreciated how they elevate the genre of open-world racing. I mean, it's easy to say that it's slapped on meaninglessly. Not only do you see that happening to a lot of open-world games these days, but Burnout 3 Takedown was already well-loved, and that didn't need an open world. So, was this really necessary? To me, it was. There have been games since that have tried to replicate the fun of Paradise's collectibles and sense of achievement, but don't really manage to pull it off. It's not just about how fun it is to drive around, it's about how well everything meshes together, while also still feeling like a classic Burnout game, and in that regard I feel like this game does that super well. Saying that though, it isn't perfect. While it is true that the game revolves around that theme of speed and momentum, there is one mode that kinda does disrupt that. Showtime mode. It's ironic that I'm saying this, as this is more or less a modern take on Burnout 3's Crash mode, but it doesn't really feel very good in Paradise. It feels like a part of the game that they'd kinda rather you forget is there, to be honest. It's slow, it's not that fun. If I ever do play this mode, it's because I started it on accident. Also, for a game that involves crashing a lot, it sure does crash a lot. And finally, aside from the added DLC, there isn't really anything that much new in this version. From what I remember, it looks pretty much identical to how it did on PS3. That isn't really a problem for me, just having it on PS4 is nice to have in its own right, but I can understand why some people might have wanted a bit more of a visual upgrade this time round. Overall, yeah, I mean, Burnout Paradise is just as good, if not even better than I remember. As someone who isn't really too into racing games, there's an energetic simplicity to Paradise that makes it so satisfying to play. It's fun to drive around, it's fun to complete events, it's fun to play with a friend. It really was ahead of its time. With one foot in Burnout's classic fun adrenaline rush gameplay and the other in a huge open world, Burnout Paradise is absolutely one of EA's most treasured games, and a more than worthy choice for a remaster.
I've got it. No! Oh, yes!
I did what?! I didn't even do a barrel roll! I didn't even do a barrel roll! I just flew. What?! Hey everyone, thank you for watching my Burnout Paradise Remastered review. If you want to see more videos like this, then go to patreon.com/Farfetch'd. For only $1, you can help me make more cool content that you hopefully enjoy, and you get a bunch of cool things too. Click the link wherever it is on screen and find out more info. Other than that, I have other reviews that you can watch. I have videos of me and my friend playing Burnout, which I used in this video, and, you know, other than that, a Facebook and a Twitter, other things, you know, the standards. I'm around, you can look me up if you want, you don't have to. Other than that, you know, that's about it. I have links, you know, so you're aware of them. That's all I want you to be, you know, that's all I wanted to do. Let you know they're there. It's up to you what happens next. It's like a choose your own adventure. I'm just going to stop rambling. That's it. That's the end. Bye, I guess.